This episode was brought to you by the following patrons: Andrew, Sunzi, Stephanie, Natasha, Laura, Goradika, Vance, Boezy, Jeremy, Ali, Nathan, Mr. Ragebomb, Libby, Wes, Dreskel, Aaron, Kristen, Tia, Lauren, John, Kate, Alex, Isaac, and Karoon. And all the patrons want you to know you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with all of us, please do so in the Facebook group where we hang out daily.
I woke up early this morning because I hadn't slept enough and was convinced my house was haunted. So there's that.
Was this the first time you stayed in the new house?
Yeah, it was the first time we slept in the new house.
That's how the demons get you the first night.
Yeah. All I heard was the demon followed you from the apartment to the house is what I heard.
If it starts whispering to Jake and he goes outside to like cut wood for like 14 hours a day, then you got a problem.
But honestly,
I'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah. Because Jake's got it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying,
Yes.
Ryan Reynolds also looked his best in that film.
Yeah, he did.
But then he tried to kill everybody.
Might have been worth it.
For the abs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude's got some Hawaiian rolls, my man.
I think I'm going to do that for Halloween.
Just Hawaiian rolls stuffed into the front of your pants, still in the bag.
And then
Yeah.
just lift my shirt
I
up
honestly,
when people...
Okay, my You've got to do it, but you've got to get 3 packs of Hawaiian rolls.
Yeah, all the way up.
So you got abs and you got back abs and then you got Oh shit! I think we broke Paige. I don't think you can laugh yet, Paige.
We can only be medium funny right now for Paige's
Right.
illness.
No.
Got him.
Thank you for tuning in to Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, Paige made us watch Pearl. So I know from last week, this is the first time we've all seen this movie, correct?
Correct.
You are correct, sir.
Oh, I didn't realize Mikey stepped aside, and joining us today is Mikey's impression of Johnny Carson? No. John Madden. No.
John Madden.
What? Who is it?
Ed McMahon.
Ed McMahon. That's the one. Thank you.
You
Sorry.
are correct, sir.
Yeah. So what did you guys think about the movie?
I'll go last because I feel like I'm going to have to defend myself a bit.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to attack you. I think I'm more mad than anything else. I really liked X. I thought it was a really good slasher, and I liked the character of Pearl in X because she seemed like a cold-blooded serial killer murderer.
Yes, yeah.
And I think I was really disappointed in Pearl because it was kind of like a exploration of a psychopath coming into their own, I guess.
Yes.
I feel like the Pearl in the movie was very calculated from X, and maybe she gets there between, but I really wanted someone who starts maybe unhinged and goes to cold and calculated. And this was just unhinged.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the movie kind of justified her actions a little bit, and I didn't agree with it as much. I don't know. I just didn't like it. And I get it, though, because it was, they did X, and it did really well. Then the pandemic was happening, and they're all just together, and they're like, well, we can just make this other movie. Yeah, so they did. So I get it. It just wasn't for me, I think. And I don't know if it's the mood I was in or the film itself, but I wanted more. I wanted her to be scarier and not what we got.
You wanted it to be less Wizard of Oz and more Nightmare on Elm Street?
See, I fucking dug the Wizard of Oz. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Let's get into it. But I think what we see here is she becomes cold and calculating. I think this is the birth of that. I think the end of the movie, we are starting to get to where X Pearl is. I do agree with you that I wish we saw more of the animal killing and things. Not that I want to watch people kill animals.
I know what you mean. You mean the escalation of the murderous serial killer behavior.
Yeah.
Of course you don't mean you want to see people kill animals.
Right.
I get you. Yeah.
Because she brings it up in that crazy 8-minute monologue that is uncomfortable. But we didn't see a ton of it. And so this is kind of the first time we're hearing about it. And it's a little late in the movie. And I think if you are someone who has studied serial killers a lot, you see a lot of red flags early on anyway. And some of the things that her mom says to her are kind of red flags that, that is coming. But we're not really seeing a lot of it on screen.
Well, we've also seen X, so we know she's a serial killer.
We know she's a serial killer.
Yeah, none of that was surprising to me.
What I loved is that this movie had a fascinating visual style, and the camera work is amazing in ways that X was too.
Yeah.
But this movie has its own vibe that is not X, but in that vibe has a million Easter eggs for what we know we will eventually see in X. And I really thought that was cool. I don't think that it necessarily glorifies her actions so much as that we're seeing it through her point of view.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily think the movie was making a comment on it either way necessarily.
I think we're just seeing her viewpoint. And she's an unreliable narrator because she is not well. And I think maybe early in the movie, you're kind of interpreting that as like, oh, she just wants to get out. She just wants to get away. She just wants to be this thing. And the longer the movie goes, you're like, oh no. Oh, she is
truly insane.
Very much something darker and scarier than that.
I didn't need to go that far. I thought she was there when she fucked the scarecrow.
When that happened 20 minutes into the movie, I was like, 20 minutes in and we're fucking scarecrows?
I didn't hear that scarecrow complaining, and she was just trying to pop his corn. You know what I'm saying?
But no, Mikey, though, for me, that scene was a huge indicator of like, oh, something is maybe not right here.
Yeah, she is an insane person.
I know that in the future. I'm just saying, like, you know, watching the film to like, what is the film telling us about it? But some of the choices they made visually, I really loved. I do think that this film really doesn't turn into a horror movie until the third act. And then you're kind of ready for it. But I think we could have layered that in earlier. That would have been really my only complaint.
That's kind of what I like the visual style. And I know that this director, I mean, I know that he loves Mia Goth. I mean, like, it's a Mia Goth thing.
Oh, and she's great in it.
She is great. She is unhinged, but I think the way it's directed kind of takes her side a bit, like focusing on her face while she kills the blonde and stuff of like, I wanted that. And I don't know. I'm having a weird couple of weeks, so that could be it. But like,
I think this might be a reflection of where you're at when you're watching the film.
But I don't like those kind of movies anyway. There was one that I saw at a film festival that's German.
It's the one that that scene in Barbarian is based on.
Yeah.
The one where the mounted camera, yeah.
When it's purely the antagonist perspective and it's not done in like a goofy way.
And there's no one to root for. Like, I hate everyone in this movie. Yeah. So like, it's hard to get into it and be like, oh, I care about what happens. I'm just watching this like, well, I mean, I know she doesn't die because we've seen her at 80 years old or whatever in X.
Yeah.
I think I needed more of a Norman Bates kind of feel to it, where like you get the layering as she starts killing people around town. Like, I wanted her to kill her parents 20 minutes in and then go really unhinged, but get away with it at the end or something.
Honestly, Mikey, no, I can totally see that of like, or at least kill her parents by the end of the first act.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't that you were trying to root for her or anything, as much as I was like, these are the pieces we need to get to the end of the puzzle where X starts. And so I found that fascinating. But I think watching this and X as companion pieces together is really interesting.
I mean, this is the prequel to it. You absolutely should.
And I would say don't watch them in chronological order. Watch them X and then this. Because I think that actually works a little bit better. But
I love Mia Goth. I like super big crush, and she can act like crazy good.
She way outclasses this movie.
I can see why Paige likes it, because I've learned Paige's like, her and I have a little different hard taste, and I can tell what's really going to be into Paige's book. And like, I think X was like a good medium of like me and Paige really overlap in this film.
Yes.
And then that's why I'm making y'all watch Deadstream next week, because it's like way over on my side.
But there's 3 points in this movie where she would be immediately arrested and sent to jail for the rest of her life.
if anyone found out.
Which they definitely would have found out, because the guy, the projectionists, his car is sticking out of her pond, and there's no way someone didn't see them together in town.
Yeah, but they're not going to look for him. Remember, this is 1918. People just skip town all the time.
Yeah. She's a woman. She can't murder a man. It's 1918.
And he even says, he's like, I'm a bohemian. I leave whenever I want. The person they're going to look for is her sister-in-law. But remember, her sister-in-law lied about where she was, so nobody knows where she was that day. So, like, as long as she hides that body.
It was way easier to murder people back then.
So much easier
also,
to murder people back then.
where'd all the police go? the war.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God. And I realize I'm a history nerd, but when she was reading the paper and they were trying to establish what time period it was for the audience,
Yes.
and she goes, oh, they just liberated France. And I was like, oh, cool. So it's like August 1944, because that's the only time France has been liberated when cars existed.
Right.
And it was just wild to me that they got that such an easy fact wrong.
Well, I mean, unless World War I had just ended and then they said they liberated France.
No, World War I was still going on. That's the war that's going on. But France was not taken over by Germany in World War I. That was World War II. That's like basic history stuff.
But remember, they got stuff wrong in X too. The
True.
same kind of thing. So like with the whole 79 milk carton, like that kind of thing in X. But the other one I noticed is when he has that porno film that he's like, I brought it back from France when I was in the service.
Yeah.
Which it's 1918, which means that either he would have somehow gotten back from the war super soon, or he wasn't in World War I. He served in the French Foreign Legion years before that. But then, like, how old is he? Because you would be stuck there for years. Like, what is this?
Well, when it comes to movie projectionists, how old is he is a question that used to be asked all the time. Because they're like vaguely young, but like also vaguely old.
They're like the old person who works at the movie theater. So he's like,
right.
25.
I mean, I worked there. I mean, yeah. And you're like, he's either 25 or 45. I'm 17. I have no concept.
But also might be the kind of person that will show you pornography the first time you hang out alone with them. And that is not comfortable. Don't do that.
When he said, this is one that somebody's never seen, I was like, it's a porno.
I knew right away, too. I was like, I know a bad dude when I see one. I've been one half my life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did not feel bad when she killed him, really. Because I was
Me either. Because he's cheating on her husband with her, and that's his fault, apparently. In this
No.
joke.
For me,
I don't know. I think he bailed out at the right time.
Oh, man, when she started to lose her mind on him and he was like, you're scaring me, I was like, damn right, communicate your feelings, brother.
And she's like, I thought you said you didn't have a dog. And she's like, oh, right, the thing in the basement. And you're like,
And then she's like, why are you leaving? I'm like, everyone here knows why I'm leaving.
there's like 30 times in this film where I would have brought up my I have to poop line and fucking pieced out.
Yeah.
that is something I appreciate about this film is that so many people are like, yeah, it's time for me to go. Like they like see the red flag and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. And then she just chases them down with pitchforks.
No, Missy or whatever, like she stayed there for like 10 minutes during that. And I'll be honest, amazing monologue. Mia Goth is amazing in this movie, but
Yeah.
she should have left 2 seconds into that monologue. And just when Mia Goth opened her eyes, she wasn't there anymore.
She was gone. I think she was afraid of her already. Like, I think she felt kind of trapped there and was just like, okay, this is where I can inch out of the house. But nobody at any point is just like, this can't be dangerous. Like, everyone is like, is this when I die? Like, everyone realizes.
Yes. And yes, it is when you die.
Yes, when the sister-in-law walks down the like driveway and I was like, oh, I don't think she had a car. This is going to go bad. And then she takes off running. I was like, there's no way, bitch. Mia Goth is going to get you.
No, she didn't even take her heels off.
Yeah, I mean, I would have taken my heels off, dug them toes into that dirt road, and just hoofed it. You're never catching me, Mia Goth.
And Mia Goth's a tiny lady. Like,
Not a big lady.
I would drop kick her out of the house. It would be over.
I just feel bad for that projectionist. He was just projecting, all over everything, and then she killed him.
That's how I know the sex was bad. After the first time she Black Widowed him?
No. The sex must have been good because she got him to go over to her house.
And walk past a rotting pig on the porch and still make out.
Mikey, he is virtually homeless. Of course he went over to, as a drummer. Let me
Paige is
just say,
right. One,
that's not uncommon for us.
she's like 30% unhinged at her best. So she was saying sociopathic, bonkers stuff to him the whole time. And he's like,
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He always knew who she was. He just didn't know to what level she'd take it.
Yeah, he just didn't know what farm implements that she had.
There's a pig covered with maggots on the front porch.
Yes.
And he goes to smash.
Yeah, and he walks inside and they try to hook up. I was like, No. Rotting pig on porch means I run away. Now, like the car's right there.
But Mikey, Mia Goth wants to smash. Are you going to walk past a rotting pig in order to smash?
First off, red flag number 1, a girl looking like Mia Goth wanted to smash. That means my life's in danger already. 2, that's got to put you on edge. If you see any other red flags on top of the fact that a beautiful woman wants to have sex with you, you got to bail out.
Yeah, 2 red flags.
So if she brought me home to her front porch and there's a rotting animal out front with maggots on it, I would stop and be like, hey, what's up with this rotting animal with maggots on it?
I think even that's too many questions.
Yeah, and then that was definitely a person struggling in the basement. Like, he knew that,
Yes.
and he still tried to finish.
And he sees her father with no one else there. It would smell too, so like there's so many red flags, and he's just like, yeah, let's go upstairs.
I've done a lot of questionable things in my day. Nothing this egregious, but I sort of understood, what was going on in his mind.
Yeah, it's Mia Goth. I get it.
Yeah.
But it would have stopped me. I would have been like, let's just go back to my projectionist booth.
It was a pretty cool projectionist booth.
It was pretty cool. I dug it. Yeah. It seemed like a nice little, office / projectionist / bed / sort of jail cell-ish.
Porn corner.
Yeah, it's fine.
I would have preferred a love story between her and her husband after he got back.
Yeah, Mikey, that's what I wanted. We didn't get a murder cute in this movie. Like, I wanted their love story, and it just happened to be them sort of falling in love with each other and murder at the same time.
He doesn't murder as much as her, but I wanted him to come back, her like being unhinged, and then them start working together and then setting up the film.
See, I actually really liked what we got because I think it helped explain his character to me more in X, where he is also trapped and has been trapped for years and is fucking terrified of her.
Oh man, Mikey, you come home wanting to see your wife after fighting the war for 2 years, and you walk into that. Do you stand in there longer than 2 seconds before you start running out of the house? Like, there's nothing that keeps me in that house. And if she chases me and tries to kill me, I may have to defend myself to the point of killing her. I don't think she would be able to kill her veteran husband if he was afraid of her. Like, that dynamic at the end doesn't make sense to me, Paige.
First off, she obviously has some sort of magical device between her legs that lets people just make terrible decisions forever. And I know guys who have done things that they never thought they would ever do because they really enjoyed hooking up with that person, like marrying them and being miserable forever.
Yeah, or going to jail. Like, I know some people who have done things for a loved one or a sexual partner that they shouldn't have and ended in jail.
I think for me, if you walk in and you see what she's already done to those people, you don't necessarily want to chance it.
I would have ratted her out, I think.
No, I mean, I would have walked outside and walked out of her life forever.
Well, except that he's on foot. And as we've seen,
Yeah.
she chased people down with that pitchfork. Like, if he leaves, he dies. He absolutely dies if he tries to leave.
I mean, unless she has a gun, no. He's just come back from like 2 years in war.
Yeah, starving in the trenches, but she killed the projectionist guy. All she needs is an opportunity.
I think she got very lucky in this movie. Like, she just chased someone down the street with an axe. Like, anyone being out in public would ruin that. Like,
Yeah, but again, they're not in public. They're fucking miles away from shit.
they're on like a street.
Yeah, she was too impulsive. She was too much of an impulsive killer for me.
She is an impulsive killer. And I do think that's in X, we're seeing her like refined process.
Yeah, because she's not that way in X.
I mean, she is impulsive, but impulsive and already knows how she's going to cover it up.
Yeah.
Like she gives it some time. She lulls them into a false sense of security because like the guy with the van, that's like where she killed that girl with the axe. Like it's out in the open.
Yeah.
So
is.
like,
yeah.
she is still impulsive and not necessarily calculating, but she just has learned to cover things up better, I think.
Yeah, by the time X rolls around, yeah. But I mean, that literally is 61 years after this, because that takes place in 79, and this is like 1918?
18.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm excited for Maxine.
I am excited for Maxine.
I don't know anything about Maxine.
It takes place in the 80s where the survivor goes on to try to be an actress.
Oh, the survivor from X?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's got heavy 80s cocaine movie vibes, which
Yes.
you
Nice.
bring me back in on that one.
Yeah, I think I'll enjoy that one more than this.
I mean, I think this is a very specific film and it's not for everybody.
So what you're saying, this is the Last Jedi of this trilogy.
No, I'd say this is Midsummer. in a way where it's like not everyone likes it, but the people that do get real into it.
I'll agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will accept all of that. I can see why people like it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, and for me, this is a unique experience because I don't like pretty much any of Ty West's other stuff except X and this.
Yeah.
These, for me, I guess, are my Ty West movies.
These are by far his best, though. Like, the stuff before X was like...
Although I've heard, is it The Innkeepers?
we haven't seen that one yet, but I have heard from somebody that one's actually really good, too, but don't know, because I've never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Mia Goth and Shia LaBeouf are together?
That makes the most sense to me. Like,
It does make
I
the
can
most sense to
perfectly
me.
see that couple, yeah.
I think it'd be more shocking if you were like Mia Goth and Shia LaBeouf aren't together. And be like, what? How do we make this happen?
How? How is that possible? It's like Chloe and Shane. It has to happen.
Apparently they have like I think they may have been divorced and be remarried, back together and not back together. They seem to have a complicated type deal.
That also sounds just like them. Like that sounds like that is the
so
toxicity they want to
That's so
live, and they can live their own life.
You could tell me that X was based on their relationship, and I would believe it.
Well, do you guys want to go through this movie scene by scene?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So we open on farm doors and a very, very different score than X. As the barn doors open, we see almost a Technicolor landscape. It is very Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
And it is stylized in kind of an old movie vibe, which I think is a real interesting choice. Not everyone's going to like it. But I was just like, okay, this is completely different than the dark grittiness of X.
But I fucking loved it. Dude, when they did a reprise of the reveal shot in X, when, you know.
Yes, the door shot.
Yeah, it's literally the same thing, except the doors are closed. And then when the doors open and you realize it literally is like a 1950s Disney film, like saturation turned way up so the colors pop like crazy. Like the cow in this movie looks red. That's how crazy the saturation is.
Well, not only red, the cow's got these like big like eyelashes and soft eyes. I was like, where'd you find this cartoon cow?
What you don't know is the bovine filters on TikTok are amazing.
Wild.
Yeah. They work on manatees too, and it's real adorable. I really loved that reveal. The cinematographer for this movie also worked on X, obviously.
Yes.
And that dude is amazing. I forget his name, but I think we talked about him last time. I'll look it up because I want to give him credit.
We did.
He's great.
He's great. And one of the things that they did in this movie is they recreated some of the most memorable shots from X.
Yes.
But in this like Technicolor vibe. And the longer it goes, so the closer it gets to X time-wise, if you want to think of it that way. In the third act, when this movie becomes darker and grimier.
When it becomes a horror movie.
It starts replicating it even more. And we get a lot of those shots like from the kitchen in the house out the front screen door.
Yeah.
As people like pull up to the house. And it starts to really give you the same vibe where it's like, it starts in this bright Disney place and then it really kind of puts you into that X place.
Yeah.
Dug it. So we open with Mia Goth dancing in the mirror, dressed up. And her mom walks in on her and is like, you can't wear my old dresses. Take it off and go feed the animals like I told you. In German, by the way.
The credits are like 3 minutes of her just dancing around, which I would hate, except that is also like a 50s Disney movie, which is sort of the vibe they're nailing between the saturation of the film, the way she's dressed, the score, like all of it feels a very specific vibe that I like love. So I was here for this part of the movie.
Well, and what I thought was really interesting is that as the movie goes on, it uses that vibe, lighting, everything.
Yeah.
Anytime she's fantasizing. So like when it's her world and her point of view, that's what it is, which is very interesting to have this like bright sunny thing, but she's a murderer. That's how she views it, which is wild.
But she's clearly delusional. Like that's just the way her delusion works, which like that did not bother me at all. I liked that part of it.
Yeah. She's a delusional narcissist, but yes, anytime we are kind of living in her brain world, that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And her mom is just like, please just go, like, do your thing.
Yeah, do your chores, more or less.
Yeah, do
but
your
in
chores.
German.
Fun fact, the woman who plays her mother was actually the intimacy coordinator on X.
Really?
Oh.
Yes. So they actually shot this at the same time as X. Like, not after,
I mean,
during.
that makes sense.
They shot the films concurrently. So they could only cast, for the most part, people who were already there.
And it's height of pandemic too,
yeah, because
right?
of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Or people who were close by, or whatever.
Yeah.
You sir, you want to be in the movies?
Well, it's a lot of like the crew from X acting in this, which is really interesting. But that woman who was the intimacy coordinator, played the mother in this movie, learned German phonetically. Just her lines.
They made her learn German?
She chose to learn German. They told her that they could dub or that they could do something else. And she was like, no, I want to learn it. She learned German enough to fool 2 of their German crew members into thinking she was also German.
I mean, that's cool. Like, that's a lot of commitment to this one.
It's a lot of work.
Part. Like, that's a lot
But
of
she nails
work.
it.
She does.
I think the mom is really good in this.
I think she crushes it too. And that's like not an easy part to play. Like, it's wild to me that that's not like an actress playing that part.
No, it's
good for her.
And here's what's crazy. Like, the mom is played very gruff and very air quotes mean because we're seeing Mia Goth's character's point of view. But I feel like the mom is a very human and sympathetic character.
Yeah, she's just terrified of her psychopathic murderous daughter.
Yes, like the more we spent time with the mom, I was like, I understand as a child why hearing a parent not air quotes believe in your dreams would be frustrating. But as the mom, I fully understand where she's coming from, and she's just trying to hold her shit together.
Oh yeah, like her life is not at all what she wanted it to be. She got married, her husband got Spanish flu, so now
I think he got Spanish
he's
flu.
paralyzed or whatever. Like, I don't know how that all works, but whatever. The movie doesn't explain it, nor does it really need to. I don't care. So like, that was fine. But like, her life is going terrible because she no longer even has her husband's help with her insane murderous daughter.
Yeah. And so Mia Goth puts on her overalls. Again, we get overalls because it's X, or whatever.
I have a thing for overalls.
I know.
I'm trying to add my commentary here, but I was like, I'm liking these overalls. You know what I'm saying? Also, I got one joke. Her husband was like, man, you know what sounds like a nice change of pace? Trench warfare. I'm going to go ahead and sign up and get out of here.
Yeah, that's how terrifying she was. Yeah.
Maybe be more empathetic over there on the front lines.
You know who sounds good? The Kaiser. I got to get away from you.
He hates Germans so much that he signed up.
He signed up. Well, because that's something where, like, at one point she's reading a newspaper and she's telling her mom, and her mom is like, after dinner, I don't want to hear about any dead Germans today.
Yeah, well, she's clearly German, right?
Because
Like,
she's clearly
yeah.
German, and it's like, we get why, like, the war happened, but also, could you imagine if you're like, anyone I knew from my home country might be dead? Like, just, like, that's another layer to her mom that we just don't talk about that much, and like, she brings it up one more time later, but yeah, her mom for me is probably one of the most sympathetic characters in the movie.
Yeah, it's a shame that she gets killed. Yeah, and it's just destroyed during this whole movie. Yeah,
it's the villain arc.
Yeah,
Pearl is a villain. That is what happens.
Yeah,
I just don't understand why Kaiser Soze invaded France in the first place.
Well, it was because he was limping, and so he got a little off course. He meant to limp to Austria, but
I think it had to do with Archduke Ferdinand. I can't remember. Some band. I don't know.
The band?
Yeah.
Anyway, she goes out to the barn and she's talking to all her animals, and she's talking to all her animals, and she says to her cow, one day you'll never see me again because this life, this farm isn't for me. I'm going to be something, and mom's going to feel so stupid when she finds out. And for me, I was like, this is her Boogie Nights moment of just like, I'm going to be a star. Just like...
I mean, it is her Boogie Nights moment, but she's having it with a cow. And because she's full on delusional and it's like the saturation's turned up to 11, I really needed that cow to talk back to her.
Oh, yeah. I'm not in the mood. Yeah.
I want you to commit mooder.
What, and this might disturb you as well. I want you to think about all the Disney princess films. And how basically this scene is one of the inciting incidents for all of them. Because this is Ariel being like, I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing. This is Belle being like, I want so much more than this provincial life.
Yeah, I want a boyfriend who can read.
And if any one of them had been a murderer, it would be this movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, generally people want to better themselves and they're not murderers. But yeah, you're kind of right.
Well, yeah, but like, sometimes they are murderers, and sometimes you have to have that reveal with a cow like you're in a Mickey Mouse movie.
Yeah, but that's kind of juxtaposition of that, knowing that she's a murderer, kind of like it tickles me a bit. I don't know. I'm just like, it's wild that they did it this way.
I mean, I'm the one over here wanting the cow to talk back.
Yeah.
That's utterly ridiculous.
Oh my God, I love it. That was amazing, Mikey.
Really milking these cow jokes.
There's not a lot of humor left in us lately, but
Bullshit.
Listen, a lot of people on social media love this movie, but I'm not going to kowtow to what they want us to say. I'm going to stay true to what I think.
wow.
Nailed it.
Wow.
So there's a candy called Cowtails that I really like, and
It's like caramel with marshmallow.
it's not marshmallow, it's cream, which I like cream better than marshmallow.
I'm so glad I have that isolated audio.
I like cream.
Yeah.
Mom's gonna feel so stupid when she finds out.
And you know that cow was grass-fed because that milk is pasteurized.
I don't think you know what pasteurization means.
Like, that was the cadence of a joke, but like there
Okay.
wasn't a joke there.
Do you guys get it? Because like a field is a pasture.
I do, but like,
Pasteurized is also a thing.
Yeah, but it's like not grass-fed, It's like a different thing. So it's like a pun.
actually, grass-fed usually wouldn't be pasteurized.
Hang on, guys. Let's like actually break down why Mikey's joke wasn't funny. So like,
I feel like people out there, I want to do like an American Idol style, like call into this number and press 1 if you thought it was funny, and press 2 if you're like,
And press 3 for a lifeline to understand it.
yeah. Listen, I'm open that I just might be very dumb when it comes to pasteurization, and maybe that joke was fire to all you farmers out there. But like, just correct me online, I guess.
I want to know if it's funny. I want the feedback.
Mikey, you're the one who made the joke. You have to know if it's funny or not.
You don't know until it's out there. You hope, you pray.
I love Mikey's approach to comedy. It is very much just like throw shit at a wall and see if someone laughs.
You know what you get shit from? A pasture where you can pasteurize the cows.
Shit. Paige, I finally get the joke.
Do you?
No!
Are you guys telling me you don't like my pearls of humor?
God,
No,
I love
you cast
so
your
much.
pearls before swine.
I like that family was like, here's a pig. And Mia was like, bitch, I have a farm. We have pigs. Like, I mean, like,
Well, but they don't because all their animals died. Like they desperately needed it. They weren't eating well, but they didn't want to accept the charity. It's a pride thing.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's a sickness thing because I think her mom is paranoid that someone will bring illness into the house and it's a risk.
I think after what happened to Pearl's dad,
Yeah.
she is paranoid of that because it happened to one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
this movie really teased out that he would get eaten by a crocodile on the end of the dock. And I was super pissed it never happened.
Oh, yeah. We never got that resolution. Yeah, I thought the same thing, Mikey.
So she has her Boogie Nights moment.
Which the Boogie Nights moment is sort of dancing around the barn and like climbing up on the hay and stuff, which
Yes.
was cool. Like, I love campy shit. And like, I thought we were going to get like a full on campy horror movie at this point, and I was so on board for this for the first like 20 minutes, Paige.
Was it the scarecrow that turned you around where you were like, mm-mm?
No, oddly enough, I was still on board after the scarecrow because that's also campy. Like, if you're going to go horror campy, you're going to end up dry humping a scarecrow till you orgasm. Like, that's
Right.
just going to happen.
It's the last straw.
All right, that's the show, guys. Have a good night.
Oh my God. I just realized that we watched this movie today, right? So like,
Yes.
it's still rattling around. I'll bring it up when we get to it. So the goose walks into the barn and she just like pitchforks that goose.
And here's the thing. If they're really starving,
Okay, Mikey, so this is what just occurred to me. When she brings the projectionist to the barn, she says, we used to have other animals, but they died, and doesn't say why.
You
Yeah,
think
she killed
she's been killing the animals? They haven't been dying of
Yes.
disease? I thought
Yeah.
that too,
Yes.
because she does talk about killing multiple animals in that awesome monologue, and we only really see her kill that one, right? Mr. Goose,
Right.
as she calls
Well,
him.
and the eggs for the alligator.
The alligator egg, you're right, yeah.
But when her mom, because her mom hints that I know what you're doing and it makes me scared of you.
Yeah.
But she doesn't go into detail. I think the mom knows the animals aren't dying of disease. I think she knows that she's killing them.
Yes, I agree. I thought that too, Paige.
Yeah. I had not connected all of those dots yet to that, like, she was killing their farm animals. I just thought it was animals general. But now that, like, okay, the goose was probably their goose. Like,
yeah, Mr. Goose had a Mrs. Goose and some goose children and some goose cousins.
They had some geeses and gefews. Yeah, like they were familyed up. Yeah, and they were the head of the V. Like, I don't know if insurance covers pitchforks, like for geese. I don't know.
I don't know. I think you got to have that special pitchfork policy because, like, normally they're a flying bird. They don't encounter that many pitchforks.
Sorry, you're not covered for Act of Pearl.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's why you got to switch to Aflac.
All right, we finally got to the Aflac joke. Now we can move on.
Text 1 if you like that joke.
That joke I got, Mikey. That one I got.
That joke made sense.
Yeah.
So she takes that goose on a fork and goes to feed it to the crocodile or gator, which she has named, and comes when she calls it.
Yeah, it's clear that this is not the first time she's fed it, which I think sort of plays into what you were just saying, Paige, that she's been killing the other animals on their farm too, and feeding it to this crocodile or gator or whatever.
Or gator, whatever it is. We cut to the house at night and we get a title card that says 1918. And her mom is trying to prep dinner. She's peeling potatoes and she's just like, hey, I need help at the farm. I can't do everything myself. Please help me. The dancing is just foolishness. Like, I have tangible things that we need to get done to stay eating. Like,
to stay alive. Yeah.
To stay alive, yes. And she asks if there's any letters in the post. There aren't, but this is where she picks up that newspaper and her mom is like, no more dead Germans today.
Yeah.
And she brings her dad in a wheelchair to the dinner table. And he cannot feed himself. He needs basically everything done for him.
Yeah. He's like completely paralyzed.
Yes. So they have dinner. She feeds her dad. And then we cut to a scene of her reading him letters from the war. And it's Howard, basically her husband.
Yeah.
And she gives her dad medicine, tells him she'll pick up more medicine tomorrow, and she'll stop by the movies, but don't tell mom. But then she gets in a bath next to him naked while he sits there because she didn't want to waste the hot water. And nothing ever comes of this. Like, this happens a couple times.
Yeah.
But I think it goes to suggest that she has some unhealthy boundaries going on.
I mean, she's a murderer, so that is very possible.
Like, that this is odd. It's an odd behavior, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, it's also 1918 when, like, I don't know, people did weird shit back then.
For me, it was one of those things where I didn't need it, but what it did add was this ability to question her judgment early on because she has all the control in that situation. He obviously can't move, you know, or whatever.
I mean, he literally is trapped there. Yeah.
He's trapped there. And for me, a little bit, that's her manipulating him. Like, that's her making this awkward and her participating in a weird situation that he cannot leave or extricate himself from. And her mother walks in on it and is upset.
Yeah.
Clearly upset by it. So it's not like this is like a family thing.
Yeah. I think the most he could do is maybe close his eyes because I think he does have that muscular control because I think we see him do that at one point.
Yeah.
But, like, that's all he could do. He cannot move the wheelchair he's in at all.
Right. Just like me, he's powerless in front of a naked, gorgeous woman.
Oh, no, Mikey, no.
But unlike you, he's powerless to move his body. Like, he's trapped and she can do sort of whatever she wants, which we see her do later, almost choke him to death while he's watching her bathe.
She's like practicing. It's
it's bad. Yeah. It's hard to make jokes about that part, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Press 1.
We don't have a voicemail box or anything. Like
there's nowhere where people can call.
Yeah. All you got to do to leave a voicemail is call.
Mikey, no.
I guarantee you it's not a real number.
It's 615.
Oh, shit. That's my number. That is my number. Okay. All right. Well, I am going to go ahead and bleep that out. And thank you so much,
while you're at it,
Mikey.
What's your social and the last four?
What is this, a Twitch stream? I'm not going to give you guys my credit card information.
I'm sorry you set me up for that too good.
I know.
Give it to us so we can buy sausage. I'm just really excited for barbecue next week.
Me too. Slaps is going to be great.
But you could also leave a voicemail on our Google voicemail, which is at gmail.com.
Well, that's just my email address. You can't leave a voicemail on an email address.
Just record your voice and send it to Todd's email. He's filtering them all out. He loves to do it.
But then do it sexy so he can use
Yeah.
it like Dipsy.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. But I thought it was weird too. You do feel like ick watching most of the film.
Yeah.
Because her character is very ick.
Yeah. So her mom comes in and is kind of appalled, but she basically just tells her the money for the medicine's on the kitchen table, and remember to cover your face and don't be close to anyone because this is the Spanish influenza. And so
And no one expects it.
no one expects the Spanish influenza.
They didn't expect it in 2020 either.
Yep.
Too soon, bro.
Well, it wasn't called the Spanish influenza in 2020, which makes me believe calling it Spanish influenza is probably super racist. It's like when rednecks would say the China virus or whatever.
Yeah. Oh God. I was like, guys, it's the everywhere virus right now.
No, I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. No. I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we cut to her going to town in Technicolor again.
Yeah.
Where she picks up liquid morphine for 2 bits, please.
I do love how she like goes to the movies and then like starts to drink the morphine. I was like, yeah, that's what a
Yes.
murderer would do.
Well, because somebody coughs near her, so she drinks the morphine. I was like, now what would be really crazy is if like the next section of the movie got real wild because she was just high on morphine. That'd be awesome. But anyway, as she leaves, she pauses in an alley to look at the playbill for the movies because movies used to have playbills.
Yeah.
And the projectionist pops out into the alley and is just like, hey, like, do you want a cigarette? You're pretty, you could dance up there. And he's hitting on her, like, clearly.
Absolutely trying to pick her up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's Mia Goth. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
He may not have noticed the ring. Maybe doesn't care. Like, I don't know.
She's not really wearing one.
Oh, I thought we see her wearing one at one point, but I honestly.
At one point we do, but
Okay.
most of the movie, she doesn't have it, especially when she's doing farm chores and stuff.
That's fair.
But I think we see it on the way back from this.
Yeah, I mean, they do establish that she is married a few times, though.
Yeah.
But he may not know that at this point. I mean, obviously he does later. He does not care.
She tells him right here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He does later, but doesn't care. So, I mean, clearly it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
The only thing I noticed in this shot was the big pink pipe out of the side of the
I saw
movie
that.
theater. I was like, okay, that is the coolest pipe ever.
Yeah, symbolism.
I know, right? I mean, there's no way they didn't paint that, right?
I mean, they could have, because the whole town is like candy colored.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I kind of love.
Yeah.
Which, like, for most of the farmhouse and stuff they've been doing a lot of this in like post-production or light tricks, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the few times that we see a set outside the farm that is not just done with light tricks. It is made to look like candy. It's really interesting.
It is.
But he invites her up and she says no. But he cuts out a frame from the movie she saw because he's the projectionist. So he'll just splice the scenes back together and one frame will be missing.
I once had a projectionist do this for me.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Uh-huh. Back in the day.
What frame do you have?
It was a scene from one of the Harry Potters on IMAX. It was the IMAX because the IMAX still used
So
film.
the big old film.
Yeah, and it was bigger, so you could it was cool. I had it up in like my college stuff.
What did you do with it? Wow, that's very cool.
I lost it.
That's also really rare because projectionists stopped splicing like forever ago.
Yep. It was like 2005, 4, 6.
Jeez, that's crazy. And you just lost it?
I lost it.
Man.
Probably worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyway, she drives home or rides home on her bike and the cell flies out of her pocket and she tries to find it, but there's no hope. So she finds herself in a clearing in a cornfield.
I mean, I love that he gave her this thoughtful gift and then just like Mikey loses it immediately in a cornfield.
It's not the only thing she loses in the cornfield.
I get the feeling she's lost it with this corny dude before.
I mean, well, we know she's married, so I think there have been at least one dude before.
Well, I just mean she has definitely done this with the Scarecrow before.
I just don't know if she's ever had a corn cob like that. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, she finds a clearing. She finds a scarecrow. She takes it down and proceeds to ride it.
I mean, they have a dance. They have a.
That's true. They do dance.
They have a whole little courtship that goes on, and then she seals the deal.
We really need to talk about something on this scene.
Do
Okay.
we?
Yeah.
I can't imagine what.
This poor farmer who makes conservatively the best looking scarecrow I've ever seen.
Oh, Mikey, he put so much time into it.
So much time and effort into it.
Yeah.
And it was like a work of art and love. Like, this man stuck at a farm. He's living his own movie. Like, his movie's like Hank or something, where he's wishes to be an artist. and the only outlet he has is to build this scarecrow.
Yeah.
And then he comes in the next day, and some girl has torn it down and shredded it in the field.
By humping it to completion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, why is it completely intact instead of just the pelvis is just straw?
And it's just left up to Hank to make another one for her to sexually assault again.
For her to corn cobulate with.
Exactly. And those things aren't easy. They call him the Michelangelo of the Midwest for a reason, Paige. Hank is good at making those things.
That's because he's good at painting titties, but also scarecrows.
Well, he definitely got a blue ribbon at like the state fair for his scarecrow.
Oh, yeah.
I just felt bad for him because, like, it was a good looking scarecrow.
Well, it's because it's got like a full face and everything.
Yeah.
And she pictures the projectionist face on it and screams at it that like, I'm married. And you're just like, oh, this is dark.
Yeah. This is a red flag. Or, I mean, I do think also humping a scarecrow to completion is a red flag. Like, this is another red flag on top of that one.
I mean, what is a scarecrow if not a real doll? It's the real American doll of the simple people of the corn.
If I only had a brain.
If I only hang some brain.
Wait, do you think she's pregnant after this?
With a little corn dog in there.
Yeah.
It's got its father's ears.
I don't know. I feel like that's a straw man argument.
Oh. Anyway, she takes his hat.
She does, which I think is fair if you hump a scarecrow to completion. Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
also a fancy hat that he was probably spent money on to like, because he's like, I spent a lot of time sculpting this face. Let's get a waterproof hat to put on there because I've taken the time.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Hank, man. I want Hank's movie where all he wants to do is to make sculptures and be left alone. But Janice is coming back from the big city because her uncle died and now she has to take over the Christmas tree farm or whatever, and Hank has to show her how to manage it.
No, here's what I want. Quirky Netflix documentary where we cut to Hank and he's like, I make Nebraska's premier artisanal corn erotic sculptures. Or Texas. It's Texas, right? Yeah, they're in Texas.
That would be the show now. I mean, like
Yeah.
100%.
And then we like cut to, he's like, here's a room in my house where I keep my prototypes, and it's just so all corn.
This is my corn fleshlight. I call it the corn cobber.
I've got a pretty serious corn addiction.
Let me show you where I keep it. I call it Corn Hub because it's where I keep all my corns.
I've been involved in making cornographic films since the late 80s. This one from our casting couch series stars Mia Goth. Just like,
Well, yeah, I'm a recovering corn addict.
Mikey just couldn't stop himself from popping off left and right.
yeah.
I still can't believe a woman at your sorority got her microwave privileges taken away for almost burning down the house from popcorn. Sorry, that just popped into my head.
Yeah, multiple times. And then she couldn't come with us when we went to the AVN Awards, the American Vegetable Network Awards.
Yeah.
And the winner for most confusing vegetable, tomato again. This year, not a fruit. Still not a fruit, guys.
And the award for best pop shot in a microwave goes to Cornhub.
Gosh.
I love how we're the kind of friends that will set up a very dumb premise and just yes and each other until we get from her in a field humping a scarecrow to the AVN Awards, but it's vegetables instead of porn.
Yes.
I think you mean corny premise.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, yeah.
You know, most theaters have corn if you ask the right person. Namely, the guy behind the concession stand.
The ageless projector it is.
Uh-oh, you got her. Yeah, there she goes.
We got it. We got it.
You crossed the threshold out of medium funny to high funny, and
Yeah, we got it.
it's just too much. It's too much for Paige.
We got to pop this on just like low for 10 minutes.
That was a full-on spit take. She just spit water out of her mouth, Mikey.
Anyway, great form on that scarecrow.
Yeah.
Do you know this was his first cornographic film?
He looked like a pro.
Scarecrow?
Yeah, he
A
was definitely a
scarecrow.
scarecrow, bro.
Anyway,
In the teens, the wild 1918s, they needed internet. So all other
Oh,
stuff.
they needed any form of entertainment. When your church is pulling together dancers for entertainment purposes, you're in a bleak time for entertainment.
yeah. And sending them on a tour.
I can think of nothing more boring than watching church ladies dance at church.
Well, have you ever stared at the sky in your field? Because that's all, it's your other choice.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like they're just so hurting for entertainment.
Anyway, so she grinds on the scarecrow. She comes home late and her mom is like, where the fuck have you been? And she's just like, nowhere. Like, you been watching that vegetable corn? No.
You fucked the scarecrow again, didn't you?
Smell like popcorn.
There's butter all over you.
Mom, smell my fingers. What is that?
Why do you have dried butter all on your face?
I told you don't yearn where you churn. Press 1.
If you think
No.
that was a funny joke. Yeah.
Anyway, and her mom gets mad that she brought the hat back. She's like, you don't know where this has been.
And she's like, oh, you don't know where that scarecrow's been, Mom.
You don't know where that scarecrow put his cobweb. I gave him a cob job.
What? Got off all the kernels.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because of the war. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Press 1. Anyway, she comes in and the mom is like, can you please go take care of your father so I can make dinner? Because she's like, I'm one person.
Yeah.
So this is another kind of weird bathing scene between her and the dad. And this is where she like pinches his hand.
Yeah, she's like fucking with his face and like starts to choke him and stuff.
Yeah, because she's clearly feeling it out. Like,
Oh, definitely is. Yeah.
so we cut to dinner and her mom is like, where's the rest of the money I gave you? There should have been 8 cents left over. And she's like, oh, I must have bought some candy. And she says, cool, then you don't get dinner.
Yeah.
Because like we don't have money. And she's married. She's supposed to be an adult.
Yeah, I got that she was like 20, 21. So like still
Yeah.
young, but like, you know, husband's off in the war, you know?
But it's like 40 in 1918 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. She probably could have gotten married at like 16, I bet. Wait, where are they? Texas?
They're in Texas.
Texas.
She can get married at 16 now in Texas with like a doctor's note or whatever.
I prescribe you one marriage, stay home from work for 1 week. Anyway, so she's going to go to bed and her mom is like, I didn't excuse you, but I need to basically lecture you on what's going down. You
Yeah.
cannot be careless with money. We do not have money. It is up to you and I to survive because no one else is going to help us. We have to be mindful. She goes, also, spoiler, we're at war with Germany and we're German. So like, you gotta be more careful
Yeah.
with what you do with money and your time because I didn't raise you to be weak and I need your help here.
Yeah.
Which is a lot to put on a person, but also very real to their circumstances.
It is very real to their circumstances, and she is an adult, and her mother needs help. Like, this movie would be sort of a compelling, like, what it was like in wartime America during World War I story if Pearl was like not a psychopathic killer. Like,
Right.
this would be an interesting story on its own, but the fact that she is insane and killing people makes it even more crazy and makes it very scary for the mom.
Yeah.
Who presumably loves the father and probably doesn't want to just leave the dad there with Mia, who's definitely going to kill him.
Right.
Like, she's got to feel so trapped in this situation.
Absolutely. And how insulting must it feel for Mia Goth's character, who still has some freedom, who still has a husband who is potentially alive. She still gets to go to town to do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
For her to be like, I'm trapped because of you.
Yeah,
Like,
well-
that is what sets off their fight later. But like, oof, magoof, what a slap in the face.
But like, also, why didn't Mia just go? Like, at every point in this movie where she could choose like the path of least resistance,
Yeah.
she always chooses what's more difficult for her. And that's what made me mad about this script. Because I was like, none of this makes sense. If you were actually a murderer, you wouldn't do it this way.
Well, as the great and wise Blade once said, some motherfuckers ice
always
skate
try to ice
uphill.
skate uphill. All right, you know what? That's fair, Wesley, and I apologize.
Blade has spoken. I think, you also have to consider she does have limited choices. She doesn't have no choices, but she has limited choices. And I think if she left and just went out on her own, just like took her bike and fucking went, I think she probably ends up as a sex worker to survive.
Well, I mean, I think she would be getting her husband's paycheck, right? Or at least some of it.
But where? Like if she's not at the house, how's she gonna get that check?
I don't know. Contact the U.S. government and be like, hey, I moved to this address.
But if you don't have money, you don't have no address. Like, that's the thing. Like, so there are things to think about if she leaves. I'm not saying she couldn't.
I mean, she could plan ahead, though. She could, like, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't ever address any of that stuff. So, like, I honestly don't know if she gets any of her husband's paycheck. That's, like, just speculation because I don't know, like, she might not be. So that might not even be a way out for her.
Well, she can't have a bank account, remember?
True. Yeah. I mean, because it's a terrible time to be a woman in America. Yeah.
There is an element for me of she does not have infinite options. I think she has some.
I don't think she has to kill her parents.
She doesn't have to kill anybody.
Right?
No, absolutely not.
Like, that's all I'm saying.
No.
It's the only thing she could do.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I understand her feeling limited, but everyone is. And the fact that she cannot see that those around her are also kind of in this same boat and also suffering.
Limited, and the rest of them are limited too.
Right.
The stores.
Press 1 if you...
That's a 2 right there. That's a press 2.
Anyway, the next day, she's milking the cow, and a car pulls up to the house, and this is her sister-in-law. And this is how we kind of learn that her husband's family is well off. Like, they have money.
Yeah.
And she is kind of friends with Mitzi. Mitzi tells her about the dance competition that she wants to do. And this is where they bring the pig, and her mom won't take it. And we watch as her mother-in-law is like, please, we know you're suffering. Just take it. Like, just please let us help you. And her mom won't.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have context for why. We don't get enough of that story. There could be reasons. But, I think the potential infection is a big one, that she's worried about food from other people.
You think she's worried about getting the Spanish flu from the pig?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
I mean, it was the 1918s. I doubt they knew exactly what was going on with, like, bacteria and all that shit. So it could, in their minds, come from anywhere, anything, right? So, like, that makes as much sense to me as, like, there's some internal family drama that caused her not want to take the pig. But, like, I wouldn't look a gift pig in the mouth. Like, I would definitely take that pig.
I would have taken that pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, this is where we also find out that, like, her husband didn't want to be the rich kid. He wanted to kind of make his own way, be a farmer, go to war.
Yeah.
And they were willing to try and get him out of war, but he did not want to.
Yeah.
So they leave to go drop off more pigs because apparently they're rich enough to have multiple and drop them at people's houses.
They're rich enough to have multiple giveaway pigs.
Right.
That's rich. I don't have multiple giveaway pigs.
Nope. So Mia Goth goes back to her room and pictures herself dancing because now she's got to try and find a way to get to that dance audition.
Yeah, because she's decided that's her big break to movie stardom.
Yeah. So that night, she kind of secrets her way through the house to get a dress and a top hat and rides into town to the theater to meet with the projectionist. And she tells him about the audition. I feel like this is kind of her only friend because outside of Mitzi, she doesn't really seem to have anyone to talk to, And here's the thing. I think if she was helping and would talk to her mom, I think her mom would talk to her. But I think there's a strained relationship because her mom is terrified that she's a serial killer.
I think it's all because she's a psychopathic, narcissistic serial killer. Yeah, people avoid her or are killed by her. I mean, the 2 people you mentioned that she talks to in this movie, actually 3 people. She kills
all
everyone.
Of them die.
Yeah,
she kills all of them.
Yeah.
But I like a woman in a dress and a top hat. That's like a new awakening for me.
I honestly have never seen a top hat rocked like this. I wasn't not into it.
I don't hate a top hat. You know what? I feel like that's one of those ones where, like, it's a statement for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So you gotta, like, just own it if you're gonna pull it off.
You gotta have it with confidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. But she does. She looks great in it. I mean, the projectionist is super into it.
He was cute. I get it. Anyway, so she's just kind of talking to him, and he's clearly trying to hook up with her.
Yeah. I mean, he shows her porn the first night they hang out.
This is that night where he's like, let me show you something that nobody else has seen. And it is, by the way, this is a real historical, like, porno movie. This is an old film.
Oh, wait.
From the time.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's called, the pornographic film shown is A Free Ride from 1915. A real vintage stag film. The film's production is the subject of some debate. It surfaced in the 1970s and was at one point sold by a shady distributor as a hardcore film from the 1915s. But a silent film historian has posited that it was actually probably made in the early 1920s.
Okay. So it technically was probably made a little bit after this movie takes place. But
Right.
either way, it is an old vintage porn. That's interesting.
It is an old vintage porn.
I didn't realize that we had that kind of stuff from back then.
Oh, yeah, dude. There's tons of it.
There's cave drawings of boobies, man.
Well, I don't
That's
mean like that. I mean like I did, that's an early time for videography to begin with,
So there's porn as early as there is film, just period. And a lot of it, because a lot of film cameras, like while they were making commercial ones, there were also some available for like hobbyists.
Yeah.
And it was very, very easy to do that if you had a developing room. But it was illegal to film sexual acts for a long time. But there are like a lot of it survived too. So there's a lot of like, you could go screen a bunch of vintage erotica if you want to. It's kind of fascinating what people found titillating at the time versus now. But yeah, there's tons of silent era porn out there.
Interesting.
Anyway, she does not take the bait.
No, not really.
Yeah, she's like, I don't like reality. I don't like where I live. And he's like, so leave. And she's like, it's not that easy. And he's like, there's a road out front that takes you straight to New York.
Yeah.
And she just goes, well, when mom and dad are gone, then I could do what I want. And he's like, what if that's too late? And she's just like, if only they would die. And he just says, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like, I beg your pardon. And she's just like, nothing. It was just nice to talk to somebody for a change. So, like, I'll see you around, I guess.
And the fact that he still tries to smash after that very troubling conversation
Yeah.
just shows like the kind of person a projectionist is.
what's the point of listening to a stranger's sad conversation if you can't smash?
I mean, that's fine, but Mikey, it's Mia Goth, and she's talking about how she wishes her parents were dead.
Everybody wishes their parents were dead sometimes.
Not often.
Not necessarily.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
That's not my experience.
Well, it's in her name, okay?
She
Mia
is sort of goth. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
But she says to him as she leaves, she's like, do you really believe it? Do you really think I could be in the pictures? And he says, hey, I'd watch you in one of the ones that like we saw like right now. Like hint, 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 wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I like how he answers.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'd record you.
Is that the sound of him cranking the camera, Mikey?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, back at this time, you had to hand crank for speed.
Yeah,
So you have to
did.
get really good at like cranking in rhythm.
Yeah.
So I guess in a way, if you were used to cranking down in rhythm at home, that could help you on set.
Oh, there's no way this dude is not a master at cranking it. You know what I'm saying? He's a
Yeah.
projectionist. That's all he does all night.
Oh, yeah. So she goes home and her mother is crying and she gets up the next morning and this is where she wheels her dad out to where the gator is. And she's gonna dump him into that gator.
Yeah, he's super close to the gator, and the gator's like swimming up. Like, I thought for sure the dad was dead here, but the mom shows up and saves him, I guess.
There was not enough
Yeah.
people eaten by an alligator, and I'm so mad about it.
That's fair.
I mean, we do get that split screen montage of her cutting the bodies up and like throwing them to the gator.
Not enough. I want a live, like if you're going to do it, I want a live person 8.
I mean, then X is the movie for you.
Yeah, and I think that's what Mikey said at the beginning. X is his movie because Brittany Snow gets eaten by a gator.
Yeah. And this movie just teases me over and over again with different people and animals on this dock, and only a goose gets ate.
I need to run to the restroom really quickly. I'll be right back.
Do you think we're waiting here for Paige to take her
Her first
inaugural
shit.
shit
Yeah, I
at her
think so.
first house?
And I'm so happy about it.
Honestly, Mikey, I'm just thrilled that we're having this moment together with her, even though we're not in the bathroom with her.
I wish she would have taken her laptop.
There we differ, but I'm just honored to be waiting on the Zoom call while she kerplunks the first time in that new house of hers.
Bloop, blop, blop.
Okay, neither you nor Paige mentioned this, but a few episodes ago, I said something like, we got to power through this turd. And both you and Paige went, like made that sound.
Yeah.
So I went and got the sound of a turd hitting the water and dropped that sound effect in. So it sounds like you guys are taking a shit.
That's funny. I'd listen to that podcast.
I know you don't listen to the episodes, but Paige typically does, and she didn't say anything about it. So she didn't listen to that episode. I got like 3 DMs about that. They were like, hey, did you mean to put that in? I was like, yeah, of course I meant to
we
put
plopped
that
a
in.
turd. Of course we meant.
Yeah.
So her mom interrupts them at the dock and is just like, what were you about to do? And I think her mom knows because of the animals and everything. She was like, he's fucking toast. She's going to try and kill him.
Yeah, I think her mom's been watching her escalate behavior and realizes what's happening and makes it there just in time.
Yep. And this is where she finds the nest with the gator eggs and takes one and then just crushes it and pictures Howard exploding.
Yeah, she takes it and like goes to the barn. Like
Yeah.
I thought she was just going to hide it there for a while or whatever.
Yeah, me too, to like raise a gator. I wasn't sure.
Raise a Gator's my restaurant idea. My pet store.
I'm sorry.
You said restaurant
And then pet store?
Yeah, it's like
I hate this already.
you just bring them back after you raise them, and then.
By the way, Natalie listens to our Pray for the Devil episode, and she came home and she was like, did Mikey really say he would have come over and drop-kicked Pupcake to death? And I was like, yeah, I think he either said that or that he was going to drown her in a kiddie pool full of holy water.
Yes.
But either way, yeah, he talked about murdering our dog.
It's not a crime because they're not people.
I don't think that that's true, right?
No, it's definitely a crime.
Yeah.
I'll see you in court.
Kangaroo court.
And you know I can beat that.
No, you cannot. There's
Your
no
Honor,
way.
may I approach the bench? Oh, you think you fucking can?
I so much just want to get this shit kicked out of me by a kangaroo for some reason.
I would love to see it, honestly.
For charity or something, just like watch my ass get beat.
Just Mikey and a kangaroo in a boxing ring, both wearing boxing gloves.
Just think about like every 2 minutes I'm in the corner, you guys are like spraying water on me, like wiping off the blood. And I'm like, I can't see his hook coming at me.
And I'm just over there like his cut man, like, you got it. You got this, Mikey. You got it.
You got it.
He drops his paw before he throws the haymaker.
Watch out, he can balance on his back tail.
Mikey
So
can.
can I.
Kangaroos? Never.
yeah. I glued a tail to me for this fight.
Just streamers. Anyway, her mom confronts her about the movies at dinner.
Yeah.
And she's like, so you went and sat in the movie theater. You didn't buy candy, which means that you could have infected us from being around other people.
Yeah.
So you need to go sleep in the bunkhouse, which is basically the room above the barn. And this is where she's like, whatever, there's a dance audition in town and I'm going. And her mom is like, no, you're not. And she's like, yeah, I got to find out if I'm good enough. And she's like, good enough for what? And she just says something more than this. And then her mom lays into her and is like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you can be so ungrateful. Do you not think that we have sacrificed so much for you to have even this, and it is not good enough? And she's just like, whatever, I'm only young once. And then her mom gets real and is like, do you think I didn't have things and dreams that I wanted? Sometimes you don't get to choose. You don't always get what you want. Sometimes you need to take care of what you have. And this is where she goes into, I've seen the things that you've done. Others won't notice, but I know who you are. And I know to be frightened of you, of basically what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you can't always get what you want, but you get what you need.
Yeah. And what I need is
Just to
more
murder.
corn cobs. Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's what the Beatles were talking about when they sang that song.
Yo.
Yeah. All you need is cobs. Dun, 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 dun.
My question to you two, would you eat an alligator omelet?
Absolutely.
I've had gator.
Omelet. She took the eggs, she cooks them up.
Yeah. Eggs and egg.
Oh, I'd try it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'd try it.
They're probably not fertilized, right? Because there's only one gator in the lake.
I don't know. How you like your eggs, girl? Fried or fertilized?
Gatored.
That's where you put up a baby gate and you have to hurdle over it. And the one who hurdles over the most gets to be on top.
A lot of work.
You know what? A healthy sexual relationship is work.
Yeah, Mikey.
I'm not gonna like have a contest to be on top of like, oh no, I lost. Ah.
We both tripped over the gate. I'm not even going to make you a quesadilla because I put in no effort.
It's a microwave quesadilla, Mikey. It's the least you could do.
Press 1 for quesadillas because it's only like a minute and you just need to melt the cheese.
They're not staying over. I'm not giving her one of my quesadillas.
He's not having sex with her and catering, Paige.
Also, you should make them on a stovetop. They taste better.
A stovetop? What are they, married?
I'm just gonna order Taco Bell from Uber Eats and call it a day.
Give me some cinnamon twisties.
Yeah, but she's got to leave before the driver gets here. It's a contest. Like, can you get her out of the house before Uber Eats arrives? If not, you have to give her half your quesadilla and Mexican pizza.
She can't touch my Mexi Melts, though.
I'm hungry.
Me too.
Me too. But her mom is basically like, you're not well and you're going to hurt somebody. And I can't let you leave this farm again because I can't verify that you're not going to bring back sickness to us or hurt somebody on the outside.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of regrets and my life is tough. But like, I need to defend the world against you. And picks up the knife on the table and just says, oh, should I just kill him for you? Because that's what you want. You wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
And she's confronting her about it and says basically like, if you want to leave, go. And when you fail, and you will, remember what it feels like, because that's what I do. That's how I feel every time I see you, which is a harsh ass thing to say to a person.
It is, but like deserved, right? Like,
I mean, and this is where they get into a slap fight. And the mom is just like, you're not better than me. Which is true. She's not better than her.
The mom is way better than Mia, and the mom's terrible. But I do love during that conversation when they're like, when the mom is like, you want to kill him, I'll just kill him for you or whatever. And they cut to the dad who's just like doing the best eye acting I've ever seen. Because he's like, oh my God, I can't fucking move.
Oh,
that would be terrifying, man.
It'd be so scary. They slap fight into the fireplace where the mom catches on fire.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she's got some sort of polyester blend going on.
Yeah, for skin.
Yeah, and she goes up unprovoked. Like, it
unprovoked.
She's like, insane.
Damn it, I cooked all of this potatoes in gasoline oil and it spilled all over me.
Oh no, I cooked all of the potatoes and also the evil spell book from Hereditary. Oh no.
And this is way before they invented stop, drop, and roll. So she just stands and let the flames overtake her.
Yeah.
Which was the old name of it, which just did not work well. Stand and let the flames overtake you. Yeah.
It honestly wasn't as catchy. I mean, it's a banger church hymn, but it's a really bad instructional guide on what to do when you catch on fire.
She goes up so fast. I was like, damn, girl.
You used too much hairspray this morning.
Inflammable means flammable? What a country. Like that kind of, that's the level of flames that we're talking about.
It's unfortunately a methane farm, so...
She indeed smelt it and dealt it, so really this is on her. Anyway, Pearl does put her out with water, but by then, her mother is covered head to toe in burns.
Well, that's what her mom gets for giving her the 3rd degree. Thank you. Good night.
Press 3 for 3rd degree. So she puts her down in the root cellar and just leaves her there, which like slowly dying from burns all over your body would be so excruciatingly painful. Like, oh.
Yeah, or unintentionally hilarious, like Will Ferrell in that Austin Powers movie he cameoed in, where he's just like under the floor. I'm very badly burned, but I'm not quite dead yet.
I haven't seen that movie in forever. I forgot that happened.
It's an old reference, sir, but it checks out.
Yeah.
So she runs out, just leaving her dad by the dinner table, just abandoning him.
Well, where's he gonna go, Paige?
Yeah, exactly. But so she goes to see the projectionist, and we have like a little, like a dream sequence flashback of her dancing.
Yeah.
But she sees her parents in the audience with part of her mom's face burned off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay, though, because it wasn't her good side.
Well, not anymore. Yeah.
Well, because she hit like 6 instead of just using the popcorn setting, and that's why she doesn't have microwave privileges anymore.
Well, then her mom turned to the guy next to her and was like, just use the name they used to call me at the quilters meeting. He's like, Two-Face?
Oh, God.
Quilters meeting?
I don't know. I'm trying to like, what's the farm version of Eternal Affairs? Use the name that they called me at the Farmers Bureau.
There you go. 4-H meetings.
I mean, it does look like she just walked out of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. That's all I'm saying, you know?
Yep.
To use a topical reference of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Shirts aren't even triangle shaped, whatever.
Not anymore, because they're flammable when they're that shape, Mikey.
Yeah, it's the shape that makes it flammable. So she wakes up and she's like, I have to practice my routine. Do you still think I'm pretty enough? And he's like, yeah, of course. But let me drive you home.
He's like, we just smashed. Of course I think you're pretty enough.
Yeah.
You're so pretty.
But he's like in that post-nut clairvoyance time period.
Yeah.
So like at this point, he knows if she ever lies to him about a dog, then he's in trouble.
So we cut to him driving her home, and it's that shot from X through the doorway. And we hear the sound of the flies from the pig. And she just says, wait here a minute, and goes inside and just kind of like wheels her dad around, takes the knife out of the table, just a real quick cleanup. and listens at the door to the root cellar where she can still hear her mom moving around. But she gives her dad morphine to keep him quiet and then brings the projectionist inside past the pig covered with maggots, which when she went in to go fix stuff, he should have just driven off.
Ugh. Yes, he should have left immediately.
Yeah. But they go up to her room and they're making out. And she's like, I want to get off this farm forever. Take me to Europe. Like, when can we go? Like, just let's leave. And he's like, I'm hearing noises and we can't just ignore it. Like, there's too much weird happening here, basically.
Yeah. It is like the United Nation flag row of red flags. Like, there are
Yes.
so many red flags.
He's like playing Minesweeper.
Yeah.
You mean Minesweeper?
Yeah.
But also Minesweeper, where I sweep out my mind.
Yeah.
But he, I guess, wants a round 2, which is his mistake, ultimately.
Yeah. So they go downstairs. She stops him just before he gets to the root cellar. And she's like, here, I want to show you something. Here are all my animals. But some of them died. And he's like, what's your dog's name? And she's like, oh, I don't have a dog. And he's like, but you just said you did in the root cellar. And she was like, yeah, right.
I'd be like, time to go.
Well, and that's what he does. Like, that's what he says, more or less.
Yeah.
And she starts to lose her mind. Like, when he says, you're scaring me. Like, I was like, that would terrify me if someone lied to me about anything really right after we smashed and then started yelling. I'd be like, oh, this is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it would be awful if someone lied about something after you smash. Like, I'll call you.
That one I'm more used to. But I'd rather be ghosted than turned into a ghost.
Right.
Mia Goth's version of ghosting is not my kind that I'm into.
It's pretty intense.
Not really into either of them, actually.
But so as he literally makes a run for the car, we watch her grab the pitchfork. And this is one of the coolest shots in the movie because, like, he makes it to the car. He's got a pretty big lead on her. And the camera circles the car.
Yeah.
And by the time it comes back around to where you would think you would see her about to kind of ganging up on him.
Like, get up behind him.
Right.
Yeah.
She's not there. And you're like, what? And the camera turns because she basically climbs up onto the windshield and stabs through his chest.
Yeah.
And it's fucking wild. And then he falls out of the car, runs away from her.
Well, stumbles away. He can't move very fast. He's got 3 big holes in his chest.
Yeah.
Although she did pull the pitchfork out, so she still has it.
Yeah, she still has it and stabs directly through his head with one going through his mouth and obviously severing his spinal column at the back and then one on either side of his face.
Oh, yeah. I mean, only one goes and hits him, but it kills him for sure.
Yeah. And we cut to, she goes back inside to the root cellar and she says to her mom, remember what it feels like because that's what it's like whenever you looked at me.
Yeah.
Which is just like a brutal thing to say to someone who's dying, arguably one of the most painful deaths you could potentially die.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she cleans up around the house. And at this point, she's basically 2 bodies deep.
Yeah.
Almost. Because her mom at this point is dead.
Well, and her dad is just sitting in the dining room still, like having all of this just transpire. He's just like sitting there terrified.
Yep. And so she picks a dress and is about to go to the audition, does part of her dance in front of her dad, and then grabs the pillowcase. And I was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
And you just watch his eyes because he knows what's up.
Oh, yeah.
And she smothers him. We cut to a montage of her hiding bodies. So she's like pushing the car into the swamp. And it does sink down kind of like the car in X. So I would assume that eventually it'll sink to the bottom. But I don't know how many cars they could manage to put in that swamp.
I mean, there were like, I think 60% of that car was still sticking out of it when she left.
Well, you guys don't know this, but that alligator loves to eat cars.
So she gets to the church for the auditions with suitcases, and her sister-in-law is like, what's with the suitcases? And she's just like, oh, it's for going on the road later. And her sister's like, I think they're only taking 1 girl per city. And Pearl just says, it has to be me.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't think you meant to say that out loud, but like, hey, we hope it's everybody. And if it can't be me, I'm glad it's somebody else.
Yeah.
And they watch as like one girl leaves crying and another girl leaves. And as they get closer, her sister-in-law asks to switch places. so that Pearl ends up going next. So she goes in, and the audition kind of starts out in slow motion, and then we get a full breakaway musical number.
I love this, man.
It's so great.
You know I love full breakaway musical numbers.
Oh, Mikey, I know you love them. But I love this one because it goes from like a small town church stage to like a full ass like USO big like screen, like green screen behind them. Like it's just cool as shit. Like I was here for it.
Yeah, it's great. And she's doing some of the twirly parts that we remember from X because she does them in X as well.
Yeah.
And it ends. And they're just like, well, thank you. That's going to be a no. And at this point, I was like, how is there 30 minutes left of this movie?
Yeah, me too.
And they were like, hey, sorry, this wasn't what we had in mind. We want someone younger and blonder.
Yeah.
Which is like so cold that they would just say that directly to her face.
Oh, but that shit happens, especially
It does.
to like actors and stuff. Like you could be the better actor and just not look the right part.
Yep.
And they'll pick the person that looks right for the part over the better actor every time.
For sure. I expect that in Hollywood. I don't expect it at church play.
At church in Texas.
Yeah. But the words that they use for her, the younger and blonder and has that X factor, those are the same words that get repeated in X later on to describe what they're looking for.
It drove me crazy that this guy in 1918 used the term X Factor.
Yes.
Because I was like, there's no way that was a thing in 1918. No. The first time I looked it up, Paige, because it drove me insane. The term X Factor was first used in a scientific publication by a British mathematician, J.B.S. Haldane in 1927.
Okay, yeah. No, I believe that.
Yeah, it was way before I thought it would have been. I would have been like, that's
right.
like an 80s term. So it actually started way before then, but didn't hit pop culture probably until later, you know. But I was shocked it was in the 20s.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories about them researching for Mad Men was doing intensive research to find out if they could say the phrase stuff. Like, put that stuff over there.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
when was the
okay.
first time someone said stuff? And I guess that they found it in a publication in like the 40s.
Okay.
But like they had to establish if you would say that and if it would be in advertising and everything like that. And that kind of detail, when people pay attention to that kind of detail, I really think it's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Such tedious work, but I am always impressed when people do that, especially when I like see something like that where I'm like, there's no way that's right. And then I Google it and I'm like, oh my God, whoa. Like I wouldn't have thought that was that early. But,
yeah.
But she says, she's like, that was the best dancing we've ever done. And they're just like, meh. And she loses it.
Yeah.
Like completely they have to drag her outside. And she is scream crying outside.
And like it cuts to her outside after a time passes, I'm sure. But
yeah,
it looks like it's still during the day.
Right.
So it can't be that much time. And now everyone's gone. So in my mind, they just stopped the tryouts. Like they're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, they were like, we're done. We do know, I think that her sister-in-law did.
Well, because of what we find out later, but...
Well, she believes that she got it. I don't know that the sister-in-law did. I think she maybe agrees to get her to not kill her.
Or to try to do that. Yes, right. I agree. We don't know for sure, because we never see that happen, and she reveals that information under duress.
Yeah. So we cut to, she's like, why don't I take you home? They get back to the farmhouse, and she sees the pig on the porch and she's like, is that our pig?
Guys, don't go into a house with a dead pig with maggots in it. Like how many people have to die before you learn this legend?
A lot.
We just got to cut the pork, you know?
Anyway, she sits her down at the kitchen table and she's like, should I fetch your mom? And she's like, no. She's like, well, why don't I just get you something to drink? They sit down at the kitchen table and thus ensues an 8-minute monologue that is, first of all, I mean, brilliant acting from Mia Goth.
Oh, yeah. She's amazing in every frame of this movie.
Every frame of the movie. And horrified reactions from the sister-in-law who's just kind of sitting there like,
I mean, yeah, but she's confessing to all this crazy shit that she's done. And I don't think her sister-in-law, I think her name's Mitzi, thank you. But I don't think she expected any of that, doesn't really know her to that level. Like the mom sort of clearly knew. I don't think Mitzi had any idea. So like when they were just cutting to Mitzi, like I really wanted like shots of her like standing up as quietly as possible.
Yeah, just trying to
and
get
like
out.
sneaking to the door, taking steps backward because Mia Goth does have her eyes closed, like as a part. It's like a plot point.
Yeah. Well, there's also what I would have really liked. Do you remember the scene in Inglourious Bastards where Shoshana ends up talking to Christoph Waltz's character and she knows that he's the one who killed her parents, but she has to stay like calm,
composed,
and composed. And then it just cuts to underneath her chair after where she has just pissed herself out of fear.
Yeah.
Because like, how could you not?
Yeah.
That I would have settled for that of like cutting over to the sister-in-law, just like, oh my God, like, oh no.
Yeah. But I mean, Mia Goth is fucking crushing this scene.
Crushing it is wild. And so sister-in-law is like, okay, well, thanks for that. I'm gonna go. And Pearl's like, are you frightened of me? Do you think I'm sick? And she's like, no, of course not. We're friends. Okay, but I am going to go though. Bye.
Yeah, but I need to get as far away from you as possible, as quickly as possible. So
just think, my whole job is like listening in this moment and like be it like active listening. I'm like, oh yeah.
I don't know how you do it. Like that would be terrifying to me 100% of the time.
I just pull the, I got to poop. Gotta get on out of here.
But then Mia Goth turns because she does the like, I'm happy for you for getting the part. And she's like, oh, I didn't get it. I didn't. And she's like, you stop pretending now. And she's like, no, I didn't. Did you not see that they just basically called it after like.
Yeah, you sort of lost it and ruined it for everybody.
But Mia Goth keeps like pressuring her like, don't lie to me, you know? And she's like,
yeah,
okay, no, it's going to be real fun. And then she just says, you always get everything you want. Younger and more blonde. And this is where she's like, I do have to go.
Yeah.
Like I
immediately I have to go.
I gotta poop. And Mia Goth is like, okay, but you're not going to tell anybody, right? That I've murdered 3 people and all the animals on this farm. And she's like, no, of course not. Nobody has to know.
Why would I tell
it's
anybody?
Our secret. Yeah, don't worry about it. So she gets out onto the porch and is walking down the drive. And we watch in the background as Pearl comes out and gets an axe.
Yeah.
And Mitzi is like, I'm fucked. Like this is, and she tries to take off running. She trips. Pearl catches up with her and like axe to the back multiple
a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. She collapses on the road and she just says, I won't tell anyone. I won't tell anyone. And Pearl says, well, it's not about what I want anymore. It's about making the best of what I have. And she raises the axe and kills her. We don't see it, but she kills her.
Yeah.
She goes to the root cellar and she like cuddles with her mom's body.
Yeah.
And brushes her hair as it's falling out and then sets her up at the table. She dismembers Mitzi and feeds it to the gator.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch Rugrats?
Yes.
Her mom
she looks like
this.
Cynthia.
I know. I'm so happy you knew exactly what I was talking.
That's one of those memes that like lives on where every once in a while someone will have just like crazy bonkers hair and you're just like, oh.
Cynthia.
She sets up her dad at the table. She puts the pig on the table.
Yeah. It's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Very. And prays over the table.
Yeah.
The movie seems to end except we watch as an army cart drops someone off at the farm. And we know there's been a time jump. We don't know how long, but all the bodies have decayed a little bit more. So it's been a bit.
Yeah.
At least a week plus of decomp.
Yeah, for sure.
And so Howard walks in and says, Pearl, I'm home. Sees the whole table. And like, at this point, run. Like, run,
yes.
dude.
You do not stay in that house.
Yeah. But he doesn't because she shows up and she's like, I'm so happy you're home. And then we get the end credits. But you gotta watch them because Mia Goth smiles. Unbroken shot for the entirety of the end credits. Like she's going to have an aneurysm. And it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And everyone should watch it.
It's my favorite part of the movie.
And she's also crying. Like there's a tear there too. Like there's so much going on. And it's like, we're just seeing credits over this. That's insane.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you guys think about Pearl?
I really liked it. I understand why people don't, and there are definitely different things you could have done. But for me, as a companion piece to X, I like it.
That's fair. I think I liked talking about it more than I liked watching it, but I love the cinematography in this. By the way, I did look up the cinematographer. His name is Elliot Rocket, and the dude is amazing. So props to him.
Yeah.
Mia Goth is so good in this. it's hard to fault her at all. Like, there's nothing I think she could have done better in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't like anyone in it. So, like,
Character-wise, you mean?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, I don't think anyone turns in a bad performance.
Yeah.
Even the intimacy coordinator, who was, the mom, did a great job. And that's a pretty complex character to play. So, I think everyone did a fine job. There's no one to root for. It's sort of like you're watching a bad guy be a bad guy. But some people are into it. I'm not super into it.
Yeah, I feel the same. It could be, like I said, it could be where I'm at. It could be a lot of stuff. I just wasn't into that type of film. I wanted to see some scary, gory things, I think. I like the chopping people up part, I guess. Like I didn't feel like there was a good, I don't know. I just couldn't get behind it.
Yeah.
Or in front of it. I wanted that alligator to eat a person out of the wheelchair off the dock, and I'm really pissed about it.
That would have been cool. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts. Mia Goth, fun facts.
So the monologue in the last act goes for 7 minutes and 57 seconds.
Jesus.
It does consist of 17 shots. However, all of those shots are early in the monologue. The final shot goes on for 5 minutes and 36 seconds uninterrupted, close on Mia Goth's face, which, by the way, from an actor perspective, memorizing and nailing that many lines in a row in a performance like that and having a camera right up there, that is a brutally long time to be the only one talking. And it is masterfully done. She did a phenomenal job there.
That's such a long, unbroken shot, too, and she just crushes it. It's so good.
It is great. And she did help write it. So Ty West and Mia Goth actually collaborated on the script via FaceTime during a mandatory 2-week quarantine, because they did shoot this during the pandemic alongside X, which was also shot during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now, they actually greenlit the film just as filming began on X. So A24 agreed to make both films simultaneously, even though they were filmed at the same time. This is the prequel, decades before X, and Maxine is the one that's filmed after. So I guess we'll see how well they kind of pair up all those stories.
Yeah, I do sort of wonder, like, because we know when Mia Goth's character dies, like we see that happen. So like, I do wonder what is going to be after
Maxine gets
character.
away.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, does she become the killer in the last one, or is there something else that's after her? Like, I'm just really interested to find that. Like, I'm interested to find out.
I hope it's something else after. I don't want to see the main character that I liked turn into a killer at the end.
Well, the main character that you like was a killer at the end. I mean, for self-defense, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, not a murderer. You know what I'm saying?
But I do think she's got a lot weirdly in common with Pearl in that quest for fame. And so I think contrasting the two of them is really interesting. I'm interested to see if Maxine will add like a new generation after her, or how it will kind of wrap the story up.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah. Two of the movies, and this shouldn't surprise anybody, that were heavily inspiring this movie while they were writing it was Whatever Happened to Baby Jane from 1962 and The Wizard of Oz from 1939.
Yeah.
And this is Mia Goth's first screenwriting and producing credit.
Oh.
So that's good for her.
Yeah, that's great.
According to Ty West, the homeowners of the house in the film enjoyed the makeover of the house and the barn so much that they kept it and allegedly have not changed it.
Oh, that's
cool.
awesome. Good for them.
Isn't that wild? Originally, they wanted to film all of Pearl in black and white. But A24 was against it, so instead they went the opposite and went extremely vivid color. Mia Goth says that another reason for the switch from black and white to bright colors was that they felt like films being made in that way had become its own thing and they wanted to do something different. So like they felt like this had a different vibe, and so they stuck with the color instead.
I mean, they definitely went with like that, I think, sort of early Disney live action vibe. Like,
yes,
that 1950s, like 60s, like Swiss Family Robinson vibe sort of thing.
Yeah.
Even with the score especially, sort of took me back to like,
that score is very Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
like,
it is. Like,
very.
It's like the movies my grandparents and parents grew up on.
Yes.
Like that era. Yeah.
Pearl's alligator is named Theda after Theda Bara, who was an American silent film actress and considered one of cinema's earliest sex symbols.
Oh.
There's a poster of her on the exterior of the picture house that Pearl regularly frequents. So the movie theater has a poster of her.
Oh, cool.
Now, a trailer for this was shown at the end of theatrical screenings of X.
Yes.
In certain places. That's how I initially saw it. And they did the same for Maxine if you saw this in theater.
Nice.
So, this spawned from writing that Mia Goth had done, and Ty West a little bit as well, of what they thought Pearl's backstory was in X. So as Mia Goth was preparing to play both characters, she started writing about who she thought Pearl was, and that's kind of how this movie comes about.
Okay.
Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah. A lot of actors will build a pretty in-depth backstory for their characters. So that's not too surprising, that she had already done that work.
Yeah. Some people online have referred to this film as Joker for girls. And even though I like this film, I do understand that comparison because it is that same kind of anti-hero.
Ah, that's what it reminds me of. Okay.
Dislike this movie in the exact same way I dislike Joker.
Now, here's the thing. I did not like Joker. I think what helps me with this movie is some of the cinematography and other things that Joker just doesn't have. So
Elliot Rocket, dude, he's amazing.
But it's one of those things that I'm like, yeah, I understand why you make that comparison. That's not wrong. But so the smile at the end of the credits was unplanned. Ty West just refused to call cut. Yes.
I refuse to believe this fun fact. I refuse.
He refused to call cut and just let the emotions play out. And her smile becomes more and more strained. And she's crying because it hurts to smile that long.
Well, and that big, it's a huge smile. That would hurt your face.
Mm-hmm. I like those teeth. Mm-hmm.
That smile, it lasts for 1 minute and 51 seconds.
God.
Which is so long. So
yeah, you heard it, folks. 1 minute and 51 seconds is so long. So there.
I'm just picturing Ty West as Bugs Bunny as the conductor from behind the camera, just making her hold the smile forever.
But those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So this movie came out in 2020. What do you think the budget was? And they actually filmed this when they filmed X, which I think they filmed in 2019, I believe. 28. No, it was 2020, wasn't it?
2020 and 2021. It was because they took a break in the middle of it, I think.
Okay. What do you think the budget was, though?
I want to say, if I remember correctly, I thought X was 30 or 40 mil. But I think this is 20 and was probably a more adventurous choice.
I think this is 7.
Okay. This is Ty West, guys.
Yeah.
It's $1 million.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Fuck? That seems impossible.
X was
Was X 7? Am I just totally misremembering?
I can check. I honestly can't remember. But this is a single location movie, more or less.
It is. And it's the same location they were already using.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think they were able to get away with it, because they already had the locations, right?
Yeah.
So no, X was also $1 million.
Okay.
God damn it. X looks fucking amazing for $1 million.
Well, and Paige, this looks really good too.
This looks amazing for $1 million. Yeah.
That Elliot Rocket is amazing. He's an amazing cinematographer. Dude knows what he's doing. Anyway, so this movie came out or hit the theaters on September 16th, 2022. It was number 3 the weekend it came out. It was beat by The Woman King, and it was The Woman King's first weekend out. Number 2 was Barbarian in its second week out. Number 3 was, of course, Pearl. Number 4 was See How They Run. And number 5 was Bullet Train. What do you think Pearl made in its first weekend out, the weekend of September 16th, 2022?
That was a big week. It came in third, right?
Yes, third.
I'm going to say 8
Okay.
million.
Mikey?
6.
All right. It actually made $3.1 million in its opening weekend, so a little bit less. It was in theaters for a total of 7 weeks, but was never again in the top 5. It was in the top 10. It was 6 in its second week, but was never again in the top 10 after that. But what do you think it made in the domestic box office in its theatrical run?
I'm going to say 6.
Okay. Mikey, what do you think?
I will say 15.
You guys are on either side of it. It was actually $9.4 million, which again, on $1 million
$1 million
budget is crushing it. Yeah, that's great. Everyone is thrilled about that box office return. It also
That's why Maxine's getting made.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if they're sticking to the $1 million budget.
Yeah.
They paid for all 3 movies, probably with X, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, the whole time I watched this film, I was like, how did they destroy this old-timey car? Because I know this is not a high-budget film.
Well, they don't really. They get blood on a car, but they don't really destroy.
Well, they push
any.
it into the water, but I bet they pulled it right back out and cleaned it right back up.
or just built the back half of one. And,
yeah, that's probably more like what it was. But either way, I mean, it also made almost $700,000 internationally. It made about it made about $520,000 in the UK and about $160,000 in Australia. So, but that did put it up over $10 million in the worldwide box office. Is the only reason I bring that up. Mm-hmm. It then also made another 1.2, almost 1.3 in domestic DVD and Blu-ray sales. I rented it today for $5.99. So like it's still making money, and I do think it's been profitable. Like there's a reason we're getting Maxine, and I mean there's a reason Mia Goth is going to work for the rest of her life as long as she wants, and probably Ty West too, because he knows how to make movies on a budget that make money.
Yep.
Well, I think he's gotten better at making better movies on. I mean, I still like this. I'm with Paige. I'm not a huge Ty West fan.
Me either.
Yeah.
I like some of his stuff a lot. I think these movies he really hit his stride on.
Oh, yeah. I think these two movies are way better than anything I saw him do before this, including The Sacrament, which I think is definitely a step above Cabin Fever, right? So, like, I think he's just progressively getting better.
Yeah, well, Cabin Fever was also, like, one of his first.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I think he definitely is a filmmaker that is getting better, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, if he wants to keep making movies like this, I will change my tune. Because, like, I had not been a Ty West person, but I am here for a million of these. So
yeah, I don't see him making anything worse than this going forward, because I think he's gotten better every movie I've seen. Mm-hmm. At least like chronologically.
Oh, we haven't done The Innkeepers yet. That's my favorite one of his movies.
But either way, that's your box office. So Mikey, do you want to hit him with that scary scale?
Yeah, Scary Scale listeners, is a scale of 1 to 10 how scary we found the film was. We watched it today. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters, and our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I feel like I did this without sounding monotone. So Paige.
Yeah, this is a 1 for me. It's not scary.
Yeah, it's not scary. It's a 1.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't scared.
Yeah.
So that's our scary scale.
All right. Well, this week, Paige, you made us watch Pearl. What are we watching next week?
Mikey, do you want to introduce it because it was one of your picks?
I'm excited. I watched a little film on Shudder a few months back now called Deadstream, and I thought it was scary and good. So I thought it scared me, which I liked. It's a little bit lower budget, but it also like taps in if you're like a content creator, where there's like jokes baked in that like really work, I think, if you've ever done something like that. So like I was like chuckling about some things, and it's kind of like Dash Cam, but with a way more likable kind of
okay, that makes me, because I was very concerned when you told me it was like Dash Cam. I was like, I hate Dash Cam.
This guy's a little like Todd.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
My problem with Dash Cam is just her. So like,
same.
You know, because I thought the actual horror parts of Dash Cam are fucking terrifying.
And that's why I like the horror parts are terrifying. This one, you have the chat and stuff still, but you have a more likable protagonist, and he's more of like a YouTube content creator with like more of that type of like share, subscribe type stuff.
Gotcha.
And I think the jokes hit really well, and I think the haunting stuff also works for me. Some of the makeup could be a little better, which is like a criticism I see coming, and it kind of has like an Evil Dead-ish kind of feel.
Okay, all right. You are selling me, dude.
Mikey, have I ever showed you some of my early like YouTube content creation days, like some of those videos?
No, you have not. But this guy definitely reminds me of like Twitch streamer Todd.
Yeah, that's why I'm concerned to watch this movie and then have to talk about myself for 3 hours or whatever.
I liked it. I'm excited to show it to you because I think it scared me some, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I remember you watching this because you told me we were going to do it for the podcast. It wasn't even like a thing. You were like, we're doing this. You have to see this movie.
Just to have these jokes with y'all, because there's something that happens in the film that is like a plot point that it's going to terrify us three probably more than anyone else. Like terrifies content creators, I think, more than anything. You're like,
all right. Well, I guess your homework for next week is to watch Deadstream on Shudder, I guess, right? That's the only place it's streaming, right, Mikey?
Uh-huh.
And then check back for that episode. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
Oh, I got distracted.
Imagine that.
I can't believe it.
Well, while Mikey's looking one up, let me tell them how they can have their review read on the podcast, and that's to leave us a 5-star text review, and we'll have Mikey read it for you. So, Mikey, whose review are you going to read this week?
I'm going to read Doc Crush. Please read this in your exaggerated Todd voice.
Fantastic. What does Doc Crush have to say?
I started listening to the...
Oh, wow.
Hey, everybody.
Is that
I started listening to the horror. It's a horror version mid-pandemic. And I just recently got through the entire catalog. From each of Todd's Blinkies to Paige's love of the magicians to every one of Mikey's desperate attempts at cannibalism. I've enjoyed everyone, no matter how off tangent the episodes go. Keep the Mikey movies coming and Doodle Pip, 5 stars.
Well, Doc Crush, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. We appreciate it. And if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review, leave us a 5-star review. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear this power throuple on another movie review show about romance and romantic comedies, check out Romancing the Pod, where Mikey, Paige, and I break down and make fun of romantic movies. It's a lot of fun, guys. Check it out. If you want to follow us on social, please do. We are at Horror Virgin or online at horrorvirgin.com. If you want to follow us all individually, you can do that as well. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Twitter or Rampage Wesley everywhere else, including TikTok. Mikey is at mrandolph24 and I am at Todd J. Awesome. If you like the show so much and you want to help financially support it, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where you can get a lot of great levels and a lot of great stuff like bonus episodes, director's cut episodes where they're a little bit longer and you get them actually a day earlier than the regular feed drop. We do a lot of great things like listener requests and stuff like that. So guys, check out the Patreon and help support the show.
If you want to financially support me, but not Todd, just look me up on Venmo.
If you can't financially support the show, that's understandable. That's fine. But if you want to hang out with us on the daily, join the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/horrorvirgin. We also link it like once a week. So just find it there and join the awesome Facebook group. Literally, we're in there talking every day. It's awesome. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to check out our Twitch stream, we're at twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, where we will be playing horror video games. So if you have always wondered what it would be like to watch me get scared, you can now do that on Twitch while I play these horror games. It's twitch.tv/Todd Awesome, guys. Check it out. It's a lot of fun for you. Not a lot of fun for me. And if you haven't noticed, since October 1st, we have been running the new Horror Virgin blog. And when I say we, I really mean Katie from the Facebook group. She's been running everything. She's like the managing editor of the Horror Virgin blog. So if you haven't been to our Horror Virgin blog, go check it out. It's at horrorvirgin.com/blog. You'll see it. It's awesome. There's a lot of great articles. I mean, at the end of October, we have 31 awesome articles up, but check out our awesome Horror Virgin blog up now. This episode was brought to you by Tia, and Tia's teenager's been just like driving her crazy this week. So how has Tia's teenager been driving her crazy?
Killing all the farm animals.
Well, Tia, you better get your teenagers to stop killing your farm animals or you guys are going to starve. This episode also brought to you by Jonathan. Jonathan wants me to show you guys some videos, so let me see what Jonathan sent this week for us to watch. Oh, RuPaul's #1 on Celebrity Family Feud, apparently. Was RuPaul on Celebrity Family Feud?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, she was. Oh, Carson's there. Michelle's there. Everybody's there. It's funny to see RuPaul like standing next to normal people because RuPaul's a tall bish.
Tall.
Yeah. And like she will wear heels. So you didn't care.
Yeah.
I do love Steve Harvey's reaction to her. Yeah, that's amazing. I love how she got to that answer and her team is like still fully behind her.
Yep.
And I'm sure she's right. I'm sure she gets number 1.
I'm sure it's there.
Yeah. Of course. Mama Ru is never wrong. Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for making us watch those fun little videos, and thank you so much for the support. We now return you to another episode of The Patreonicals.
Okay, welcome back to the Patreonicals.
Here we go. I can't wait.
Karun and Natasha,
Uh-huh.
who are now, Natasha goes, Karun, we had sex yesterday. I am pregnant now.
That was quick.
Their species gestates quickly.
Apparently. Their species, which is what, Mikey?
The blue aliens.
Okay.
From planet Crouton, the Croutonians.
The Croutonians, yeah.
Uh-huh. From the Caesar Salad Nebula.
You didn't go with the romaine system?
And then Isaac turns to them and he's like, congratulate. They're on the ship. And Captain Bruder's like, congratulations. Everybody, look, they're pregnant. We're being chased by a Death Star, but they're pregnant.
I love how he's like, yeah, great, you're pregnant, but we're about to die, so it doesn't matter.
And then Isaac was like, hey, can I eat your babies? And they're like,
What?
hard no. We've got to get rid of Isaac. He is still a cannibal.
I do get it, though. Croutons are typically one of my favorite parts of the salad. So, like, I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love carbs.
Driscoll with the Illuminati, he and Andrew, the last Russian astronaut, have decided that, they're trying to make a time device with Anthony and Jennifer the PH, and they're like, look, we've got to find the center of the galaxy.
Okay.
Where there's a crystal that has unlimited power in it.
But also a Becky with limited power.
All right. Yeah, like Tiffany, who's like 1/4 power.
I'm shocked that Mikey remembered that.
The crystal. Yeah. I did
because
remember that.
we recorded that like premise 2 weeks ago, and so much has happened since then. It's been like 6 weeks since 2 weeks ago.
Oh, the Patreonicals live in a side of my brain that is rarely used and seldom useful. Those synapses I have to like knock awake before we start doing this part. We got to get it done so we can go to sleep. Okay. Look, we're going to the middle of the fucking galaxy or whatever.
Love it.
And Bruder, can we go? And they're like, yeah. And Jennifer the PH is like, I've got the map. It's tattooed on my back like the movie Prison Break.
Hell yes. The wildly famous movie Prison Break.
It was a show.
It was a show, Mikey.
The
yes.
first 2 seasons were so good.
After that, who knows?
It would be a great show if it was made today, when it was like 2 or like when it was like 8 episodes. I'm getting lost. It's fine.
I agree that most TV should be 8 episodes. 12
8 to
8
10
episodes max.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they redid Lost with like the format of today?
Can you imagine if they redid Lost and had a plan for the whole story?
Oh yeah, right. They should just redo Lost. They've redone everything else anyway.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, the PH, and Anthony, the Time Master, was like, I tattooed it on Jennifer's back, the map to the center of the universe, because the crystal has unlimited power and it can mess with time. So we kind of like put it in there or whatever.
And they were like, yeah, we know she's been wearing a backless dress this whole time. Like, we could see it. Like, everyone knows that that's what that is.
Oh, wow. And Andrew, the lost Russian astronaut that they picked up, he's like, look, I gained accidental immortality out here in deep space because of the radiation. It's a long backstory, convoluted. Anyway.
Did you just yada yada? He's immortal?
Kinda. And then he's from like the 60s.
It's like Rob Stark in that Marvel movie we all hate.
The Immortals or whatever?
God, that is the worst move. Okay.
Someone just needed to give that movie a hand.
I get that because now there's a giant hand out of the earth that they never mention again in any other Marvel movie.
And it is like touching space. It's that big.
That is the turning point for me of the MCU in a way that is just...
That's the last superhero movie I saw in theaters.
I saw the new Ant-Man, but I also saw the Dungeons & Dragons. I've just been going to the movies lately.
I want to go see Dungeons and Dragons. I heard it's really good.
Dungeons & Dragons was real good.
I wanted to go see Dungeons and Dragons with like one of my best friends, but he didn't invite me.
I went on my self-care day after I went to a school shooting.
I mean, you don't have to high road me, Mikey. You can just, I get it. You needed some time alone. It's fine. I'm sorry you had a rough day at work, and that will haunt you for the rest of your days. Seriously, Mikey, I am sorry. Like, that's rough.
Anyway, Sunzi, the AI robot, was like, shut up, bitches, let's end this. And they're like, what? And then like Andrew's like, look, Sputnik has the key to get there to the center of the galaxy. We can use the information on Sputnik with her tattoo and get it there. And Sunzi, the AI robot, is like, this does not compute or make any sense, but I know where Sputnik is, so we can go there. And
all right.
Garotica just starts playing the guitar like kind of like Bill and Ted's when they have a good idea.
Like Wild Stallion?
Yeah, Ryan's Wild Stallion style.
Yeah.
Vance, the serial killer.
Who was technically H.H. Holmes.
He is H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
He is tied up, and Mr. Ragebomb is flicking his forehead with his
can't
fingers.
believe you remember this.
And Mr. Ragebomb's like, I can do this because you can't get mad because I blow up and would blow you up. So like,
oh yeah, Mr. Ragebomb typically always has the upper hand in every room he's in, unless that room has Kate in it, because Kate is way overpowered.
Behind the ship, Boezy has tied himself with a rope and is being dragged he's like water skiing in space. Lauren, the cave person, is with Jeremy with laser eyes, who is still mourning the loss of his toe. And Lauren and Allie the mermaid are there, and he's like, I'm more than just my laser eyes, and I just missed my
toes.
toe. Yeah, and they're trying to be okay. And Driscoll's like, we gotta do this plan. Captain Bruder, set a course for Sputnik. And so they like head off that way. Behind them, the Deathmun star is there, and Wes, the handsome guy, is just all oiled up and naked,
Just ready to
tied
go.
up. Yeah. And
All
he's
right.
like, please don't torture me like this. It's awful.
No, not snoo.
Yeah.
Alert the men. I had
Yeah.
snoo.
And Alex, the evil magician, appears in a cloud of smoke and pigeons. And he's like,
I like how it's smoke and pigeons. Like it's directed by John Woo.
yeah. and
Except
he
not
goes-
doves, just pigeons, the rats of the sky.
But they're like spray painted white, Paige, so they can't really fly. They just like fall to the ground. Yeah.
Kind of wobble.
Libby, she appears and she says, I've overthrown the Mun government. I am now the Mun queen.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
There was a coup d'etat?
Yes.
A moon data.
Right. And Aaron the Moon General is like, and Alex, they're all together and they're laughing maniacally. And they said, our fleet reached Earth. We conquered it. Earth is ours.
The Earth is now run by, I guess, what was the moon? Because the moon's no longer there, right?
Right. They had a secret empire. It was an outpost of a giant empire of evil.
Okay.
The Greys. And Alex, the evil magician, is like, we did it, Your Majesty. And she's like, get this naked man to my quarters so I can spit upon him before bed. And
Is that like a
Chase,
sex thing or like, I don't know their culture. Like, I don't understand what that is, but
I don't know either. Anthropologists will be studying this episode of Patreonicals forever. and Anthony's like, we still have one threat, and that's those heroes / nefarious cannibals in that ship over there.
I think they're fine young cannibals, Mikey.
Yes.
We need to torture this West fella afterwards. And they're like, yes. And then so they're like, we're still tracking the ship and chasing them as our fleets conquer Earth, and they've decided to kill every 5th person just in spite because of all the crap it caused us. And they destroyed our Mun planet as well. And that's the end of the episode.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait to find out what happens next week and if they find that crystal at the center of the galaxy on another episode of The Patreonicals.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Bye. I hope Maxine rocks nerds.